Hello, and welcome to the SAF Audiovisual Cast, where we, SAF, connect and share information from top university officials, faculty, and administration directly with SAF students and parents. Thanks for joining us. First, to introduce, I'm your host, William. I'm a 2005 IES Abroad Beijing alum, based in Chicago with SAF and IES. We've got two special guests here today. This is our first time having two guests, and we're both delighted and honored. We've got Dr. Colette Plum, Deputy Director of the Berkeley Study Abroad. And we've also got Dr. Darin Menlove, Director of University of California, Berkeley Study Abroad. Thanks both for being here. So I am gonna do some basic introductions and then obviously pass it over to you. Maybe we could start with Dr. Colette. As I understand, you're a China scholar, a lecturer, and a seasoned studied abroad director. You've lectured students at Penn, Stanford, and Johns Hopkins. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Can you introduce yourself a little bit more for us?
Thank you, William. Yes, I have a long relationship with both living and working in China, but also as a researcher and instructor of Chinese history and Chinese studies. I've lived in Chengdu, I've lived in Beijing, in Nanjing. I've had the great fortune of traveling to many different Chinese cities, and it always brings me such delight to be able to welcome Chinese students to Berkeley, because I've been hosted and taken such good care of in China by Chinese friends and colleagues.
Thanks, Dr. Colette. Now over to Dr. Menlove. Lots of both strong pedigree in academia and study abroad administration. Darin, you started your career as an academic in Russian studies and now are the director for study abroad. Also, thanks for coming today. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about your background?
Well, yes, thank you so much. My entire professional career now for nearly 30 years has been spent in various capacities in international education. And in the beginning of my professional career, I was a director of a program which was based in Moscow, Russia. And this was mainly a program for American students who were coming to Russia to study Russian language and culture. And I at first imagined that I would always be in a classroom teaching Russian language and culture, etc. But this opportunity came along to take a group of American students to study Russian studies in Russia. I went with them, and that lasted for a very long time, an unexpected long time for me. But it turned out to be just a really wonderful experience, and I traveled widely with my students all over the region at that time. And then I just understood from that experience that I always wanted to be in international education and study abroad. And that, as you know, most recently, for the last 15 years, actually, I've been at UC Berkeley in different capacities, but mainly with study abroad outbound students, so sending students all over the world, and bringing students in from all over the world into our campus at UC Berkeley, especially through our summer sessions. And through that work, I've also had the wonderful opportunity to travel to China many times. And I've always enjoyed my trips to China, and I hope I'll be back in China once we're allowed to travel more freely. But it's always, I've always enjoyed my times in many different cities in China.
Colette, could you tell us a little bit more about what brought you into international education?
Oh, absolutely. You know, even as a graduate student, I was supposed to be reading books all the time and doing research, but very early on, I discovered how much more effective it can be to be able to teach about a region if you actually have your students with you in that area. So through most of graduate school, I actually spent my summers leading groups of American high school students on these 6-week trips to China. And it was such a joy to be able to teach about Mao in Tiananmen Square, or to be able to take students hiking and backpacking on the Great Wall, and be able to talk about Ming and Qing dynasty defense systems while actually being on the Great Wall of China. So early on, I really realized how important it is that we bring our studies outside of the classroom and into these very real world experiences where you're not just at these incredible historical places, but you're also interacting with the people that are living there and that have made meaning for themselves out of that history. So being able to introduce American students to Chinese students and American teachers to Chinese teachers, professors, faculty. I led faculty programs and researchers when I was in Pennsylvania, social work, professors from the School of Social Work and their graduate students, I would bring them to Chongqing for the summer to collaborate with social workers in Chongqing. And so I'm really a believer in the need for us to expand our knowledge about humanity by working together across culture and across regions.
You both have a wonderful enthusiasm for the work. It's notable. Now, regarding UC Berkeley, you are both representatives of the university. Many of our audience obviously is already familiar with some of the basics. It would be great to hear from you both a few features or advantages that make UC Berkeley stand out from other universities.
Oh, thank you for asking that question, William. Well, I can also tell you that as much as I've traveled in China, I'm also a California resident. I was born and raised within California. And I will say the University of California is really one of the pride and joy of the state of California and residents of California. And UC Berkeley is the flagship university. Many of you probably know that we're ranked #1 consistently in different polls, different surveys and world rankings, #1 as the world's first class public institution. And we're really proud of that. There's a lot that we do in the service of the public good. So that, I think, is one of the things that I'm first and foremost proud about, what we can accomplish as a public university. That said, there's wonderful things about where we're actually located. Where, for those of you that are familiar with California, and we're near San Francisco, which is also, we're just right across the bay from San Francisco, the city of San Francisco, and we're very near to Silicon Valley, to the tech industries. So these giant industries like Facebook and Google, LinkedIn, all of these industries that Chinese students are well aware of, they really got their grounding here, and the whole culture behind entrepreneurship and technology has its origins in our area. We also have a really long history of social activism at Berkeley. Things like the free speech movement, anti-war movement, civil rights. The 1960s were incredibly important in terms of UC Berkeley really making its mark in moving forward with social change. But that tradition continues today. Darin, I don't know if you want to say some more things about what you really like about Berkeley.
Sure, I would say the something that I really love about our campus is its natural beauty. Well, we have also beautiful architecture, but the campus is in a setting that looks like a park. So, and many trees, including some of the native redwood trees, which are also called sequoia, and these. I never get tired of the beauty of our campus and the wonderful trees and landscape that we have. It's a very hilly campus too. So for students who can come and join us for summer courses, when we're able to do that, you really get your exercise on our campus.
Now, you alluded, and obviously a lot of people are thinking about the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. universities have pivoted significantly, changing either course offerings or having to make different decisions in a fast amount of time, but still offering something compelling to students. Can you share with us some of the changes that UC Berkeley has made?
Sure, I can. I'm happy to answer that question. So, at the about nearly 2 months ago now, in the middle of our spring semester, it was decided, when most of the world also decided that classes would be held in a remote environment. In other words, we would not have students coming into the classroom. So this was done right in the middle of this past semester. And then it was also quickly decided that all summer courses would also be conducted in the remote environment. But even that said, we have a very robust number of courses each summer that are always taught online. So about 30 courses, and they're very popular courses. I can't even name them all, but they enroll many, many students. So the online courses, we develop more and more online courses every year because students really, we are finding that students really enjoy taking the online courses. So we had a large number of online courses, which are still available for students this summer. These courses are asynchronous. They're designed to be asynchronous, which means that students don't have to be present or online at any particular time. The modules generally go week to week. So students can just log on at any time. So students can be in China, they could be in Russia, they could be in Europe, they could be in South America. Students can be from anywhere in the world and still actively participate and easily participate in the online courses because they're asynchronous. In other words, the students don't need to be online at any particular time. They just need to complete the work by the end of the week and move on to the next module. Our summer sessions is a very, very large operation, more than 600 courses, which are normally taught face-to-face on campus. So it was a real disappointment to us this year when it became clear to us that we would not be hosting the thousands of visiting students that normally come to our campus. That was a big disappointment to us. But what we did is most all of those courses are continuing, nevertheless, this summer in a remote format. Now, most of these courses, which are not developed as full online courses, are synchronous. So that can present a challenge to students in different time zones because students do have to log in to the course at a particular time where a lecture will be delivered or the instruction will be delivered. So that does make it a bit more challenging for students in different time zones and all around the world, but they are open to students all around the world, and we still welcome that participation. And of course, we want international visiting students to participate in these courses if they can, because they enrich the courses. Our Berkeley students really enjoy the opportunity of communicating directly with visiting and international students.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, your institution has answered this need to go fully remote, but also you've got a lot of things in place that were there to begin with. So really compelling offerings, and then also offerings out of necessity, and both live and also fully asynchronous or fully remote recorded coursework.
Yes, that's correct.
There's a lot of terminology making its way around, but it sounds like a compelling offering for students interested in accessing that portfolio. Now, maybe we could move towards a topic that obviously us three have some experience in, international students and also China specifically. So UC Berkeley has lots of overseas students typically. Can you tell us about the university's international student body?
Yes, thank you for asking. We are an incredibly diverse campus, and a lot of that diversity comes from our international population. But we also have a pretty diverse domestic population as well in terms of ethnicity, in terms of economic background and life experiences. We really strive in our admissions to give opportunities to California residents and to admit a very diverse student body. So that said, our student population we have over 16% of our student population is international students. And of those international students, 40% of those international students are from China, which is really, it's the largest percentage of our international students come from China. So we're really welcoming and a campus that Chinese students are really comfortable in visiting. And but it's also a campus where Chinese students, whether you're studying virtually or visiting us in person, can really get to know people from all over the world, be they California residents or they be international students from other countries.
A true opportunity for global learning, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us more regarding the university's connections to China?
Yeah, we have, so within the University of California Exchange Program, we do have several different exchange agreements with Chinese universities where Chinese students can come and study at University of California at any of our 10 non-undergraduate campuses where students engage in study abroad. But we also do have, China's a very popular destination for campuses to go as well. We also have a lot of research collaborations that go on. As you know, being a top tier research university, there are, across disciplines, there's work going on in China. So we have, I can speak for history, we have very strong East Asian studies, both in history, but other social sciences and humanities as well. Scholars that really have spent their lives studying and trying to understand China, and very robust collaboration between China and the US. We also have a research institute for graduate students, a partnership with Tsinghua University that's based in Shenzhen, where this is it was founded with our engineering program, but it's a place where both students from Berkeley and from China can meet in Shenzhen and engage in shared scholarship and research as well.
Lots of different, really productive, interesting contributions to global learning. Very compelling. Thanks, and thorough answer. Very, very cool. So what kind of a student does Berkeley typically suit best?
Oh, that's a really great question. So Berkeley students are they're passionate. You know, I heard our admissions director talk about the admissions process for undergraduates. About a year ago, I heard him speaking where he was saying that what he's really hoping that we get more of at Berkeley is what he calls impatient warriors. So students who are really passionate about something and who want to make change and who are impatient about that. They're confident and they're proactive. And I think that really that translates into how things work in Berkeley classrooms and studies. Students really take a lot of initiative. They're what we call self-starters. They have to be pretty independent in the sense that they're able to really identify what they want to study and what they're interested in and engage with others. I think that students who are curious do really well at Berkeley. But shy students can do well at Berkeley. You don't have to just to, you know, because you're independent and curious and interested doesn't necessarily mean that you have a really big personality that you put out there all the time. Part of that, of being a really good autonomous student, is to be able to really know how to ask questions and really be engaged in whatever ways that you can find opportunities.
Darin, this next one's for you. Do you have any suggestions for students who want to apply at UC Berkeley, both for study abroad programs and degree seeking?
Oh my goodness. Well, yes. Well, one suggestion I can make right away is that there are ways to explore and get to know and see Berkeley before making a commitment. So for high school students, for example, we have a residential program. So a high school student could come to UC Berkeley and get firsthand experience and see the university with his or her own eyes and take real actual courses for credit. So this is our pre-college scholars program. So that would be something that high school students can do for transfer, or students who are wanting to go, wanting to consider UC Berkeley for graduate programs, for example. Again, our open enrollment summer sessions is really an excellent way for students to get to see and get to know the campus firsthand, and also prove to themselves and prove to the academic departments that they are able to succeed in the courses. So those are two really strong ways of being able to get a firsthand experience at UC Berkeley. For students who are just wouldn't have those opportunities, let's say, but are considering an application to our four-year undergraduate degree, I think the advice I would give is to prepare yourself in very broad ways. So it's not just that being smart or getting good grades or having really excellent academics or being a really great student. That's not all that we look at or consider. We want well-rounded individuals, students who demonstrate engagement in many other areas, not just academics, but this could be sports or community service or religious work or other things. There are many, many other ways to develop oneself beyond the classroom. And I think this is the type of student that we're looking quite holistically at applicants, and looking for students that have multiple interests and abilities inside and outside the classroom.
Now, you referenced a little bit a student with an ability to spend a short study at the university when maybe they're thinking about a graduate program. That's obviously also what SAF facilitates. We send upwards of 500 students annually over to UC Berkeley. We'd love to hear you speak a little bit regarding our relationship.
Oh, I'd love to answer this question because I think we have relationships with nearly 100 universities and organizations across the globe, but I really believe that one of the best relationships is ours with SAF, and I think that is really because of SAF's engagement. I think with students, the thing that impresses me the most about SAF is the engagement that the organization has with students and the service and the support that they provide. So representatives from SAF frequently come to Berkeley. They are very diligent about selecting housing options for students, for example. They will come and host some social events for students. So there's a lot of support that SAF provides to their students that other providers do not give. So there's a difference. But the relationship is also very good because of the great numbers of students that come through SAF. And again, the frequent interactions that our office has with this organization, I think really makes the relationship just very strong and really enjoyable, to be honest.
Well, thank you for saying that. Now, we're nearing the close of our session. We'd love to hear if you can maybe give us 3 words that summarize your feelings on UC Berkeley.
3 words. I would say genuine Berkeley experience. And can I just elaborate a little bit on what I mean by that?
Please do.
Okay. So one thing that does make Berkeley's summer experience really, I think, very special is we call it our 3rd semester at Berkeley. Most of the students that come for Berkeley, and we have 16,000 enrollments for this summer, and those numbers keep going up, by the way. Most of those students are Berkeley students. Most of the visiting students are UC students. So, and it's really a tremendous opportunity for an international student to really have a local experience, even if that's a virtual local experience. The visiting student is going to be there in the classroom with Berkeley students. The professor that interacts with that student is not going to know that student is not a Berkeley student. Most of the students are Berkeley students in the classroom. So if a student is seeking a genuine experience, a really authentic experience, coming to Berkeley at summer is the place to get that.
And now over to you, Darin. Obviously with COVID-19, the pandemic, there's a lot of uncertainty at this moment. Is there anything you'd like to share with us in closing in regards to the climate at this moment and outlook for the future?
Yes, we still don't know whether we will continue in a remote format in the fall semester. That has not been decided. But I think nevertheless, we're all very eager to be back to normal, so to speak. And for those of us who are in international education, it's just really painful for us to see the opportunities for travel diminished by this pandemic. And I think we can only just be very, very hopeful now that we'll overcome this COVID pandemic because nothing can really replace, I understand that nothing can really replace the firsthand experience that you get in country, on location, when you're able to travel to a destination to learn and grow. And we are absolutely optimistic and will be absolutely thrilled to continue to provide these opportunities to our own students who want to go out into the world and to other students who want to come to Berkeley. We are going to be very optimistic and prepared and ready for this to happen as soon as we're able to do it.
Now, something we like to do to wrap up, one of my favorites is a little bit of talk of food. So, Darin, can you start us off with your favorite Chinese dish?
Oh my goodness, my favorite Chinese dish. I love the food from Sichuan area, and so the dish that I know as Sichuan chicken is probably my favorite dish. Yes, I love it.
Okay, and now Colette, we're going to go over to you, and feel free to use some Chinese in your answer. What's your favorite, either cuisine or dish?
Thank you for asking. 我最爱吃的也是川菜，特别是麻婆豆腐，我不怕辣，所以我也我吃麻婆豆腐，我也很喜欢喝点儿啤酒。
Right on. A nice way to finish. So next time, perhaps when you're back to either Chengdu or Shanghai for a business trip, you'll be able to have some of that at a nice restaurant and enjoy things. But until then, thanks much for your time today, guys.
Thank you, and I hope to see you all either virtually or in person at Berkeley sometime in the near future.
As do I, and thank you very much, William, for having us here today. And this is a fine example of the good relationship that we share. Thank you so much.